Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you are streaming from. Welcome to another edition of Thetha Archival Conversations. These are brought to you by Trans and Intersex History Africa. Here, we preserve the stories, voices, the histories of African trans and intersex people, both on the continent and in the diaspora. So, once again, today we are heading to South Africa to meet an intersex activist, a storyteller, a photographer, filmmaker, and human rights defender whose work sits at the intersection of art, advocacy, and community empowerment. Joining us is Peaceworth Maquba. I think that I will be corrected by our guests when they come about the pronunciation of that name. But we are joined by Peace, CEO of Unmadebrand and founder of Intersexions and Intersex Officer at Iranti. Is that correct, Peace?
Well, former.
You, at Iranti is former Intersex Officer. Yes. Well, thank you still for your service there, but you are welcome, most importantly, to this show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Victor.
And you hailing from KwaZulu-Natal?
Yes. I was born and bred in Zedin, yes.
There's a lot of action there's been a lot of action here from KwaZulu-Natal. You must be about the fourth guest from KwaZulu-Natal, so it's good for us to be even there today. So, Peace, we have had different intersex activists from across Africa come here and tell us what, try to clarify and educate and, remind our viewers, our followers about what intersex really means. So we won't really go in there. At some point, we will go in there in trying to look at how the different generations in South Africa, since whichever year you were born, have thought it to be. But for now, before we dive deep into that conversation, let us meet young Peace. Young Peace. Where does Peace come from? Who is Peace? Beyond the activism.
All right. So Peace beyond the activism. I was a child that really enjoyed sports, specifically swimming. I really loved. Yes, I was a swimmer at school.
Nice.
I almost became a lifeguard, but I was afraid because I was so tiny that if an adult was drowning, I wouldn't be able to save them. So I stopped my lifeguarding career very early. I was also very into things like ice skating and rollerblading until I got hurt one day and I was like, okay, it's not worth it. Also very into creative stuff. I think all in all, I'm a creative.
And yes, so you are. I've seen that.
I've always been drawn to anything that allows me to create. So I used to rip my clothes apart and put them together in a way that suits me.
You are the people who designed these clothes that we see around, people walking with holes in their clothes.
100%.
Yeah.
And I just always had this need to create something that wasn't there, hence Unmadebrand. So that's where the name literally comes from. It's being inspired to create things that are unmade.
Unmadebrand is inspired from your earlier years. That's very wonderful. We'll get to Unmadebrand at some point. But Peace, where did you grow up in KwaZulu-Natal?
So I was born in Claremont, which is a small township in Durban, and I was raised in a hostel. So a hostel is more controlled living kind of situation, and I was raised. It's like almost a block of flats, but overcrowded. Like per room, there would be so there would be 6 people in a room who are hired to work at a cotton factory. So then they lived there, and then the parents then took their kids to come and live there with them. So in a room there'd be 6 people. So then initially then the 6 families in that particular room.
Wow.
This particular hostel was for women only. So I practically grew up in an environment of women only.
Wow.
And I went to school in an Indian school in Durban. I grew up very close to the Indian community. So went to an Indian school, went to an Indian high school, all girls school, mind you, which was, I don't think it was a good idea, but I went to an all girls school, and I went to university there as well. I moved around a lot in Durban. I think I had a nomad of a mom. After growing up in Claremont and finishing my high school, then I moved around with my mom a lot. We stayed in central town. We stayed in other different townships within Durban, like Mlazi, Gamashu.
Umlazi.
Yes.
I know Umlazi. Very, very familiar. Umlazi.
That's one of the
most popular. Yes. Umlazi nice. So here you went to school in Durban. You grew up in that kind of setting, living with only women, and moving from one place to another. Is there a point during that time, your childhood, is there a specific point you remember that you started to question, you started to realize the difference in your structure, in identity, in your physical? Is there a moment that you noticed something might be a little different from others?
Yeah, definitely. So I was the firstborn of many siblings. So the obviously the puberty stage was gonna hit me first. I had brothers who came after me. So puberty is not happening. Based on the information I was told as a girl that this is supposed to be happening to you, it wasn't. And so I was like, does that mean I'm a boy?
Was that exciting? Was that thought exciting?
Completely exciting. The things that girls had to do was a bit too much. I was like, actually, sign me out of this girl stuff because I'm not a girl, So that was the starting point. Then it got a bit more confusing because then they took me to hospital to find out why is this and that not happening. And then
wait a minute, you said took you to hospital? Okay. Yeah. Who was concerned about that? Your parents?
Yes, my parents. So when they were realizing this, then they were like, okay, we need to check what's going on. And they were just told, oh no, you can just wait, right? And then I had abdominal pains out of nowhere. I think it must have been 10. And they took me to the hospital. And there were many different diagnoses that I got at that point, like I have meningitis, bladder infection, a cyst. There were just many things that they were coming up with. Right. But from that point on, like my ship sank because a lot of things then started to be confusing. and my body was now starting to change, and now the things that I knew not to happen for my body started to happen, and I'm like, okay, who am I? What's going on? For example, I started growing breasts, and I knew
we missed something there. You said you started growing.
I started growing breasts.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So now I'm like, what kind of boy gets breasts? You know, and that was where I got confused as a child, because you told me I'm not going to have children. You told me my body can't do 1, 2, and 3. So why and how do I have breasts? What are they for?
Right.
And so yeah, that's where all the confusion started, and all of the questions started about my existence and my role here, a human being, in terms of, because how it's framed to us as kids, it's a matter of reproduction. You get your role according to how you reproduce. And so me not being able to reproduce meant my role then is different from a girl. But now when I have boobs, now I'm confused. What am I supposed to do with boobs when I can't make babies?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that was when I actually started to have a lot of questions, like, why am I here? What am I here to contribute to in society? And all of these questions started at that time. Yeah.
You started questioning a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Peace, at this point, did anybody tell you you are intersex?
No, not at
No.
all.
No. And
that word didn't exist.
It didn't exist then. And was there any treatment that was given to you because of this? Did others know? Did your family know, or people around you? How did they react to this difference? Did you get any challenges beyond the questions that were happening inside you?
Well, I think what was going on was mostly being experienced by myself.
Yeah.
And this is mostly because when I probe now as an adult and ask questions, no one has answers. It was almost like a dictated experience. It wasn't an experience, explanations, an experience that had conversations. I was just alone, going to the hospital, coming back home, going to the hospital, coming back home.
Right.
And I just noticed how I was treated was very different. I was treated like an overly sensitive, easy to break kind of person, which frustrated me. Because now I was just a sickly person. I was no longer myself. I was just a sickly person. And treated.
So all this time of visiting hospitals, which years were those? Do you remember?
So, I don't remember the years per se, but I was between the ages, from the age of 10, 90 something.
90 something, that's enough. 90 something. And these issues,
let me see. I also want to remember for myself, because I did my grade 1 in 94, 95, 96, 96, 10. From 98 or 99.
Wow. So 1999, there was not so much, there was almost no talk. You never had anything intersex.
Sorry, the only things that I remember them talking about, I had an appointment with a gynecologist, which I hate so much. So I noticed then that they focused a lot on my genitals, that they even had other doctors come and see. And so I was like, okay, something's definitely going on with my genitals, because that seems to be where the attention is going. And so after that, there were surgeries, and those surgeries were to put in a camera to see what's going on. So from the time I could remember going to hospital, I would go in, get a consultation, come back, go to surgery, heal from surgery, go home, get pain again, go to hospital, get a consultation, get an operation, heal, go home, come back again. I went through this for about up until I finished school.
That was a painful process.
Yeah. And in all of that, still, there's no explanation of this is what is going on. Instead, there's surgeries that are happening by mistake. Oh, we took this out because we thought it was going to be cancerous. Then we find out it was an underdeveloped uterus. Oh, we did this. So there were a lot of mistakes. There are a lot of could haves, didn't. It was just a lot of mishandling of my body mostly. And as a child, I thought that my parents are aware of what's going on. But I do remember the sense that my parents are fighting about me, but I don't know what they're fighting about exactly. But I think it was about the things that were happening to me in hospital without them giving consent or understanding what they were doing.
Oh no, even your parents did not consent to all these things. The doctors were just going on with what they thought was right. You know, most of the time we've heard that the parents actually consented to this. It was a decision between the parents and the doctors without the person. And this is the first time I hear that the parents were not a part of the decision.
Yeah, when I kept on doing my own research as an adult, I asked of different things, because now I understood that in order for me to have breasts, I must have been given hormones, estrogen to be specific.
Yes,
and that estrogen was probably given as an attempt to aid puberty. But my mother wasn't told that I was given hormones. They thought that my body was developing on its own.
Wow.
And because I was expected to be a girl, they didn't see anything wrong. They just thought, oh, miracle. Maybe then the other reproductive parts are going to work. And that wasn't the case. They gave me hormones. And that was actually the time I stopped taking pills, because as a child, I had this sense of maybe these pills are the ones that are doing this. Because now my body was changing, but it was unnatural. I felt that it was unnatural. To this day, I have dysphoria with the breasts that I have. I want to rip my chest because they are a very outside of my experience thing that is on me, you know. So that was one of the things that made me pissed off, to be honest, with the interventions, the medical interventions, because, okay, fine, I understand that maybe that's the process to try and help and aid the body. But for me, for my parents also, they would have maybe wanted to know because hormones change and alter the body. That's a big deal.
It's big deal.
It's a very big deal. I would have wanted to have a choice whether I wanted boobs or not, because I wasn't going to use boobs for what boobs are used for. And as a child, we also know that we understand the body for its functions. We don't understand the body for its sexual use. Right. So it would have been a whole different conversation had there been questions asked or any information. I was even told that I wasn't going to live past 30 because of the way that my body is designed, and and the kind of hormones that my body doesn't have and won't be able to create. And when I told my mother this, she was like, I wasn't even aware that they told you that. So even as a child, I grew up thinking, waiting for my death, literally. And so when I made it past, I'm turning 37 now. So now after having lived so long without thinking you'll have a future, it's a very weird.
Right.
It's weird to be alive right now.
Right. It makes sense what you're saying. I see. Wow, that was a tough period, and I'm sure you're still processing some of the memories from that period, your childhood, the hospital, the hospital visits, and your parents still must be processing a lot of stuff still. But it is very clear that the past has shaped you. Your history has shaped you, because I see ahead in your bio that you have actually engaged with service providers, doctors, nurses, and all these people. And we will get there. So it means that at some point you found your voice. And how do you find your voice after all this? Like, how did you get to at what point did you move from simply understanding yourself to becoming an activist?
Right. So wow, that's a very good question. I've never had that question before, and I didn't honestly recognize myself as having a voice. I mean, that it's obvious now, but I didn't see it
You
that way.
do have a huge voice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was reflecting back and looking at the fact that autonomy has always been something we never had as humans, but I never understood just how much we didn't have it. And as I grew, I got to see that I have to be verbal about the fact that my body is different from other people's, mostly because I understood that most bodies are the same. Most
Right.
experiences of people within their bodies are the same. And so me not having an experience that is the same as other people's bodies was fascinating for them. And so the reason why I spoke much about my experiences was that it was fascinating. And so I never saw it, I never saw it as finding my voice or anything. I was always interested to tell people, especially because I went to a girls' school. I was like, well, I'm not gonna get this, And everyone was like, oh no, you're lying, and So it was always exciting, and I did biology in school.
Yeah.
And in my biology class, I always tried to ask the questions that would help me have a visual idea of what was going on inside of my body in terms of my reproductive system. And so speaking out in those classrooms and with my peers, I was never afraid to stick out as the different person, because I think for me it was important that people knew that not every girl is a girl, like how girls are supposed to be girls.
Wow.
Some girls are different, and so I'm not like you and you are not like me.
Right.
And I thought that I was the only one, which is what every person thinks.
Right.
And so in 2017, I heeded a call from Iranti for intersex people to engage with each other. For the first time, I met.
Oh, by this time by this time you identified as intersex. You knew now.
No.
Not yet. 2017. Okay.
No, at that time, I'm just a person. I'm just a girl who doesn't have a menstrual cycle. That's right.
How does Iranti identify you? How did they find you?
So I met someone and we were dating, and then we were talking. We were in the talking stages, and then as I'm sharing about my I don't have periods and this, that, and the other, she also shares the same experience. And like, and she's the one who's like, I'm, and then once we had that conversation, then a whole other world opened up, and that's when I got the information about Iranti and stuff, and then we went and we met up, and now I'm in a room with 10 other intersex people. What do you mean? And I think from then on, I was 100% sure that this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This activism. Because yeah, it's like, well, if I'm going to be telling
you, it felt like you got home. You found home. It's like you just arrived home with people who actually understand what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Must have been. Thanks to Iranti. We greet you, Iranti. Thank you for creating that space.
Yeah. I was even telling the founder of Iranti, Jabu, that yes, being at Iranti again, because I was employed at Iranti / ISA back in 2017, 2018.
Right.
And I stopped working there for some years, and then I returned at Iranti. For me, that was a full rounded experience because I got to go back to where it all started, and I was completely thankful, because had I not had that opportunity, I wouldn't have known that this was something that is needed in by our community, for somebody to be there and fight for the rights and speak about the challenges. So the fact that I was already open to speaking made it easier for me to be the mouthpiece,
Right. And in your community, by the time you joined Iranti, when you joined Iranti, is that when you start seeking out people who are intersex in your community? Were you still in the township? How was that situation?
So
did you continue in the city?
Well, I left KZN very early, like as soon as I was, because remember, when I grew up, I was into sports and I was into all these things. However, there was this hospital thing that kept on pulling me aside.
Yeah.
And that also changed a lot on how I am treated at home and how I relate to my siblings. And I could tell that there's a lot of control that is over my body because of this being sickly thing. So as soon as I was done with my high school, I was like, I'm done. I want to leave this house so that I can be independent and do my own things and stop being sick, right? Because it wasn't making sense why I'm sick all the time. And I had to make a decision, which is why the brain is such a powerful thing. I had to make a decision whether or not am I going to be the sick person for the rest of my life, or am I going to do something else?
Right.
So I decided I'm going to go out there and find work. I moved to Johannesburg in 2010 and lived there, worked, hustled my way through, and whatever came found me when I was already an independent young adult. So by the time Iranti came, I had already worked for a couple of 7 years. Yeah. So it was just changing my professional direction into activism, which is different from what I was doing. I was doing corporate a lot. And so that for me was very new territory, but also made sense because it didn't feel like work. I'm just doing me, but not for other people.
Right.
And I promise you, after making that decision never to go to the hospital again, I never got sick again. I never got the pain that I used to get. I never got, because I do think that it's also conditioned into you to believe that your body is not okay. And so once I decided that if this pain must kill me, then it must kill me, because I was told I'm going to die young anyway. So I sort of waited for my death, but I wasn't going to wait and keep going to hospital. Also, my father took me out of
It was
medical
so
aid, so I was
painful.
not going to the public hospital. So, you know,
It was painful.
that was a whole.
So, Iranti played a big role. I think you meeting Iranti opened a whole new world for you, and it got you to where some of the questions that you had were answered, and your voice. You didn't see it as a voice, but that is where you start. You have answers, and now you're giving answers. You have answers, and now you're giving answers. That's very interesting. And I see that you wear very many hats today. You had Iranti, of course, but you founded Intersections, right? And you led Unmadebrand. Could you tell us about these spaces and what role you're playing or have played in advancing intersex rights? Let's go to intersections. Oh, who comes first? What comes first? Intersections and Unmadebrand.
So Unmadebrand was born first.
Inspired by something in your childhood.
Yes.
Creativity, right?
Yes. So I think Unmadebrand.
What's Unmadebrand first and foremost, so that we can all follow what you're talking about?
Okay, so Unmadebrand is a business that is centered in bringing solutions to anything that is misunderstood. And we bring these solutions through maybe clearing up communication gaps, clearing up visual gaps in terms of what human beings look like and which human beings are seen and which human beings are not seen. And this is through my film and video, photography work. And also with the Unmadebrand, it was mostly started as an underwear brand, to be honest.
Underwear?
Underwear, yes. Because I had a big problem with the underwear that is made for people. And so I wanted to come up with an underwear brand that is for non-binary people, because that's what I identified before identifying as intersex. And so, yes, and so the underwear was just meant to be functional on all levels.
There was a gap. There was a gap.
Still is.
You saw it and decided I have to fill it.
Yeah. So it started off like that, and then it continued on to using clothing as a form of advocacy. Everyone can read. Most people can read, right?
Yeah.
So why not have it on your clothing, on your everyday wear? So that's how Unmadebrand then got into apparel, because we have different slogans like non-binary to it all, like the pronoun t-shirts. I have to wear my they them pronouns in certain spaces in order to help people remember. I also wear it in order to help society understand that asking people pronouns is a very normal part of an introduction now. So those kind of things. Also slogans like vegan. The vegan t-shirt, vegan series is for people who are shy to say, I am of this sexual orientation. They can just wear a t-shirt that can speak that someone who understands. So it's like, for example, we know almost how emojis work now. We know what a peach is. We know what an eggplant is. And so the t-shirt has an eggplant and it says vegan. So that means I only eat this. But also to a person who's generally vegan, they can also wear the t-shirt because I'm vegan. So most of the apparel that I make has subliminal messaging, but is speaking to those who need to be spoken to. And so many different products kept on coming up, and many different slogans kept on coming up. Also, slogans like Victor, not victim. As an intersex person, I had to learn very quickly that, yes, I am born intersex and this is what happened to my body, but I'm not a victim of that situation.
Right.
And so, because now I have a better understanding, I'm a victim of that situation. So the slogan is Victor, not victim. And most people can relate to that in whatever situation they are in their lives. And so we're also a very positive driven brand. And so that's what the brand is about. And with the progression, we now have things like trans tape and tucking materials for gender people, and just every single thing that a queer person.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you, definitely, I'd like, why Unmade? Why you call it Unmade, and when does it start? When did it start? Unmade kind of makes sense. There was a gap.
Yeah.
When did it
start?
Literally
in 2016.
2016, and that is founded by you in particular?
Yes.
Wow.
It was founded by me.
Thank you.
And it speaks for itself. It's just everything that is unmade.
Yeah,
I believe
unmade. We do it. So
and the other thing, yes, another thing that we do at Unmadebrand is that there are brands who also want to start their new brands. So we have a program where if you want to start an apparel brand, instead of now going out and finding your own manufacturer and things like that, and quality and we already know the quality and the standard of a good item. So we create it for you. So some people could be shy to go out to any other manufacturer and say, I want something as explicit as this. There's crazy things that I've printed for people because they feel comfortable to do it with us. And so that's also a platform where if you're looking for a place where you can be able to print stuff and not be asked any questions about it or feel like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Are you working with any people outside of South Africa?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. That's amazing, because some of these things, people want this kind of messaging on, and yeah, it is a part of advocacy, messaging on clothes, but some of them cannot even make them in their own countries. Yes. Some of them cannot make them even in their own countries. Like you can say, oh, make me these many t-shirts for a conference we are going to South Africa to do, you know. Maybe some people can be like, let's order them in South Africa with Unmade. We will find them there, because we have to find ways of covering all those gaps with Unmade. They keep limiting our places and what we do. We have to come up with new ways, you know.
Yes, we actually do that for organizations who are aware of us. They do send us materials that they would like made, whether it's pens, diaries, badges, and we create a package for them. We can even, some people even don't have the creative capacity to say, this is what we have a vision about, but how do we then, what does the design look like? So we assist you with the design and we just make it happen.
Let's talk about Unmade, a message to people outside South Africa at the end of the show, which is about to end, actually. I don't want to keep you here forever, but let's talk about Intersections.
Yes. Oh, Intersections was mostly born because of the groundwork. The groundwork for me is very important, and the groundwork includes empowering the intersex person who has just acknowledged and accepted and understands that they're different and wants to learn more.
Right.
And also the parent of an intersex child who
Right.
doesn't know what the hell. The family of the intersex child, the community that the intersex child lives in. So that's what intersex was born to do, to be there. Yes, to be there at the part where we all intersect as human beings, because most of the time in the work that in my experience, sometimes we have to work closely with LGBT groups, right? And so it becomes very difficult to access intersex people because they're not in the space. An intersex baby is not going to be in an LGBT space.
Correct.
So what we aimed to do is to be that space where parents, doctors, intersex people can go and say, oh, I found people that are like me. I found people that are like my child. And they can explain to me about what has happened. So it's mostly just real people experiencing real stuff and helping each other get through it. Because with this kind of community and community service that we're creating, it's something that doesn't exist. And so we're all building it together. So that's what Intersections is about. It's about envisioning a future where intersex people and their families are included in society in a very loud way. Yeah.
Right. And where is Intersections based? KwaZulu-Natal?
So we are actually based nowhere. We're a hybrid kind of space. We're based in South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini.
Oh,
the reason
really?
for that, yes, the reason for that is language justice. Language is very important to us, that we don't only focus on speaking and addressing things in English.
Right.
We want, in South Africa, we have 12, if not more, languages and culture. And our neighboring countries like Lesotho and Eswatini, they make up some of the languages that we speak. So it only made sense that in serving a person who speaks Swati, then why not serve a person in Eswatini, because we're going to hear each other.
That's correct.
And Lesotho, why not help someone in Lesotho, because we have Sotho in the country and we're helping people in Sotho.
Yes.
So because of language, we were able to then expand. And so we are hybrid based because there's no particular office, we just where we are needed. Yeah. Right.
Because
so we're mostly in our office though is in South Africa.
Is it okay? And this was founded by you, a group of you. How did that happen?
So how it happened? Okay. I remember this conversation happening clearly back in, I can't remember the year. Okay, it must have been 2018. I had just, my contract at Iranti had ended, or rather at Intersex South Africa had ended.
Yes.
And I felt like I still wanted to do more, and I didn't. It dawned on me that you have to be in an organization in order to continue to do the work.
Yes.
And I saw the difference in what Intersex South Africa was doing, and I could see that it's not shaped to serve what is happening on the ground. It's policy changing, and it's up, but the ground was
that level. Yes.
Very
needed. Yes. But
and
you saw a gap.
I saw a gap. I spoke to the people close to me, my partner at the time, some friends, and they agreed to help establish, and open the organization and register and stuff like that. And as we continued, the structure changed, and we started having more intersex people join in, and we re-registered and because the point was being intersex led and intersex owned. And so, because for me, once well, we're all gonna go, we're not here to live forever, is the fact that other people that are there need to be intersex so that they carry the work forward.
Right.
And so once other intersex people started joining in, it then became a conversation with, would you like to also be a mouthpiece? Would you be open to, you giving your service in this way? And so then as that changed, we had more and more intersex people join, and now it is completely intersex led.
Wow. Founded in 2018.
Founded but registered in 2019. Yeah, we started our work in 2020, which was not so great, but
and working across borders to reach others that need this information in languages that they understand. I think that is very intentional. And thank you so much. And everybody at Intersections, we greet you, we salute you. Thanks for what you do. Now, it's just, I mean, the other thing I've seen in what you do, I don't know if you do this through Intersections or other space, but I also read that you have done a lot and you do a lot of work supporting survivors of human rights abuses, intersex people that are survivors of human rights abuses. So without revealing details, what are some of the challenges intersex people bring to you? What kind of challenges do they bring to you today in South Africa, in Southern Africa?
Yes. Victor, it's very painful, the kind of challenges that intersex people go through, not just the intersex people themselves, but their parents, their families. One of the injustices is that they are put in positions where they have to make life-altering decisions for their children. And then they regret it, and in that regret, they realize there's no turning back, there's no help, so most of the time it's a rehabilitation process to say, Mom, you didn't do a bad thing.
Right. Oh, we're losing you again. And we have there you are. You're coming back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's a rehabilitation process.
Yes, of getting the parent back to a regulated nervous system to say, you're not terrible. You're not a terrible parent for allowing this. Now, how do we move forward? How do you kind of informed languaging do you give to your child now that they've been through this? What does your child's future look like? So we're able to help them plan differently and see that, yes, surgeries have been done, but it's not the end of the world. It's still a future. Your child can still have a good, productive life. Another one of the injustices is that the bullying at school, the bullying within the community, a lot of intersex boys go through a lot of bullying because their bodies are doing different things. Sometimes it's a person who's registered as a female, and then their body develops into a masculine body. Right. Where now there's something, Victor, that is happening that disturbs me, and I'm yet to find a way to have a solution for it. But there's a different experience when you have a gender marker as a transgender person, or when you have to have a gender marker as an intersex person. Having a child raised as a girl needs to change their gender marker to a male because of what their body is doing is a mindfuck. Because you are not systematically programmed as a male. You systematically program a girl, a young girl. Now you are 16, 17. Now you must be a man. You don't know how to be a man. Yes. You don't know how to be a man. You registered as a man. And maybe you have your own idea about what being a man is in the world.
Yes.
But now you're 16 and you've been a girl all your life. Now you must be a man. Now you must go into a male system. Now you are seeing one of the intersex activists had to go through a situation where they're at the hospital for help. At the hospital, obviously you get appointed according to what's on your birth certificate. So female ward, everything. Now they're in the toilet. A lady's like, oh my God, this person tries to rape me, da 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 da. And it's like, with what? How was I going to do that? You know, but having to understand that that's the trauma, that's who you're going to be now. Now you're going to be seen as a perpetrator.
Yes.
You know, because of how men are in society. So it's a problem. It's a very, very big problem. People shouldn't be forced to be male or female when they're neither of those things.
Right.
And that is the biggest problem. And that's why for me it's very important to centralize intersex challenges as intersex people challenges. No one else faces challenges like that except for intersex. Because there's no market for intersex people. Because that's all you can be. I'm not a girl, I'm not a boy. I can't be either of those things. Even if I wanted to, I won't. My body will not do it. And so I can only be, even with hormones, my body was not going to do it. Even with any kind of assistance, my body's not going to do it. And so where does my body fit in? That's the biggest question. When is my body going to fit into the system?
You talk about body in bodies now. And I know that you've done a documentary, you've made a documentary, My Body versus Our Body. What was that about?
Oh, that's one of my favorite work that I don't think has been out there and spoken about enough, because it's very dope.
Let's talk about it.
So My Body versus Our Body is about autonomy. It's about pleasure. One of the things that my doctor told me to get surgery for was that I wasn't going to have a good sexual experience. So I needed surgery in order for my genitals to be good enough for sex as an adult. And lo and behold, that wasn't the case. There was no surgeries that I needed. My genitals worked just fine. But having that narrative be the reason why surgeries are performed on babies is the reason why I went into doing My Body versus Our Body, because it's me who has to decide. It's me who has to feel. It's me who has to experience. And what the doctors do that is harmful is that they perform surgeries based on their sexual understanding. And that's very heteronormative, right? And what the other thing that they do that's terrible is that they perform things that are called sexual assault. They will masturbate people, intersex people, to prove to themselves whether or not this person's body can experience pleasure. And that's a child. That's a child.
So that happens?
And so all the time to intersex people in hospital. All the time. And that registers as what? And then as an adult, the harm that causes will then turn people into touch-me-nots or asexual or anything like that, because you've made the whole experience different. You've taken away my freedom. You've taken away my ability to have a first-time sexual experience. But no, you had to test things out for yourself as a doctor for medical reasons. That's weird. And people don't talk about it enough, but that is the sexual trauma that intersex people go through.
Thanks for sharing that very, very disturbing piece that needs to be known. And I think a lot of people need to be educated about this. We are, I think that we are going to have you back at some point to speak, most importantly, to about 3 things that you have done. I think that we need to unpack my body, our versus our body, and we need to also unpack. There's another one that you did.
Unboxing my identity.
Unboxing my identity. I think that if you can talk about it very briefly, but I think you will have to come back and talk about these very. They seem to be very important.
I would really love to speak a bit more, because I think in the experience that I've had, there's a need to speak about intersex as a biology, and I would love a chance to do that.
Yes.
Without speaking about it as an experience. But to speak about unboxing my identity, it was a project that I did with Taboo Media, where we had to do 2-minute visual pieces, and it needs to be informative and everything. It was a beautiful challenge. And in that, I wanted to speak about intersex, but without having to use words, just visuals. And so it's a very short documentary. Oh, do you even call it a documentary? Short film, where...
Are these online?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'm very happy to share links.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
It's mostly just about a different puberty. It's fiction based, and it looks at a different puberty and what puberty would look like for an intersex person. So I used what already exists in nature. Like I said that intersex people merged with plants. And so instead of pubic hairs, we grow flowers under our armpits. And that is how you can be able to tell that your child is intersex. You'll see a lot of greenery and a lot of plants or whatever. So that was a way that I was able to bring a visual understanding of the level in which intersex people is so different. If you were to imagine it, it would be something that's out of this world.
We need to have you back here at least one more time, because I still have a lot of questions, and we want to document this to as we keep building that, the archive, which is our history, our collective history. I feel that there's a lot more that you can share. But before you go this time, I would like to invite you to the screen alone, and speak to those that receive the baby, and also the doctors that treat these kids that they think are very ill and need to be cut and need to be, done so many things. Our intersex children, siblings, and relatives. If you could just leave a short message for doctors across Africa, probably the world, so that if a doctor lands on it one day, they have a message there. Please introduce yourself and the intersex activist that you are, and say something to the people in the medical field about intersex. people that end up in their hands. So we will leave you on the screen alone, and you leave that message that we will share far and wide. It will be a short clip to share far and wide.
My name is Peaceworth Maquba. I am an intersex activist and advocate in South Africa, and I work across the southern region of Africa, ensuring that intersex voices are heard. The message I have for intersex people and parents who find themselves birthing intersex babies and the hospitals that they get admitted to. The first message would be for the parents. Parents, you have birthed a wonderful, healthy baby. And the most important thing that the doctor is supposed to check for before leaving the hospital is whether or not your baby can pee. And if your baby can pee, that is all your baby needs to do with their private part up until they decide that they want to do anything else with their private part. So when your baby is born with ambiguous genitalia, it is not a disaster. It is not a catastrophe. It is not the end of the world. It is the beginning of a different world, and you have been chosen to parent that child because you can. And so do not be afraid. Do not be alarmed. If your baby can pee, we're good to go. And most of the time, God makes sure that your baby can pee. So there's no way, there's no need for surgery. Your baby can live pain-free. Doctors, please, please, please do justice to your patients and use and operate from a place of empathy. The body always remembers. The body always remembers. The body remembers the pain. The body remembers everything. And so when you are putting the body through anything, whether or not it's a baby that's brand new out of the box or an adult, what you first have to lead with is the information of the fact that this body is going to remember the pain. And number two, intersex bodies are not an experiment. It's not something you have to figure out how it works. These are people's lives. And our mental health should be your priority. And in the process, you need to be reassuring the parents, reassuring the intersex people that they're good, they're fine. The only thing that is important for doctors to acknowledge and understand is to allow intersex bodies to develop naturally as they should be, record that information consensually, and be able to assist intersex bodies accordingly, because they have now had the chance to grow and develop and progress without being tampered with. So once this opportunity comes through, then you can be able to assist intersex adults in hormones if needed, with any other physical assistance that you can give that is not forcing them to go into a binary of male or female, but just existing in the intersex body, because we also here, we also want to live, we also want to be happy and experience a healthy and progressive life. And to the government, please stop hiding the fact that intersex people exist. It might even work to your favor that you have a third, sex exist, in order to alleviate all these intersectionalities that seem to be impossible. So yeah, let's be more gentle, more kind, more empathetic towards intersex people.
Thank you. Thank you, Peace. That was very, very powerful, extremely powerful. And I think Thetha will do it justice by sharing it and sharing it and encouraging others to share that message. That is a very, very powerful message. So Peace, thank you so much for sharing your story today, your creativity, and your commitment to advancing the rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
You are not advancing the rights and dignity of
all
intersex
day,
people.
every day.
Thank you, and for that voice that you're giving. Thank you for the education. Thank you for noticing gaps and fighting to cover those. Thank you for standing up for humanity. And I pray that we have you back very soon for another part of this, because this is just a little bit of your story. And to everybody who is listening, who has been watching us, oh, if it is 50 years when you're watching this, hi, this is 2026. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was Peace from South Africa, working in South African region for intersex equality and dignity. And until next week, until next week, would like to say goodbye. Please tune in again from Victor and Peace. Peace. Peace.